Hi everyone, my name is Anita Sharma and welcome back on Import Hub Media. Few days ago, I shared one very interesting research story which is up here. Please go and watch the video if you have not done yet and come back on this particular interaction which I'm going to have with Professor Justin Paul, who is currently serving as Editor-in-Chief of International Journal of Consumer Studies, a 45 years old journal which is ranked as A grade by ABDC. Professor Justin Paul also serving as managing guest editor with the International Business Review, Journal of Business Research, and European Business Review. He serves as associate editor with European Management Journal, Services Industry Journal, and Journal of Strategic Marketing. With a lot of very interesting and engaging experience as a writer, reviewer, and editor, I'm sure this particular interaction on do's and don'ts while writing research papers and submitting research papers is going to be very interesting. If you have any questions and queries, please post in the comment box. Professor Justin Paul is going to answer them personally. Professor Justin Paul, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for asking this. I have learned a lot based on my own submissions and my own success and failure in different journals. But at the end, I'm satisfied because even though I got a lot of rejections, finally my papers got accepted in this journal or the other journal and relatively good journals. So before I go on to do's and don'ts, I would like to share two lessons or insights that I learned in my research career. First is that it doesn't really matter where your PhD is from to some extent in some schools. If you can publish good number of papers in good number of journals. So it matters where your PhD is from to some extent at some places, but it doesn't matter at every other place. I know professors working at top schools in some of the top schools in Europe or including top schools like IIM in India, including Ahmedabad IIM. They have degrees from some unknown universities in India. Some of them, what I'm trying to say is that if you are a very active researcher, if you succeed in publications, you have opportunities all over the world because faculty hiring is a function of your research publication in many places. And one more example I would like to talk about is some of the Nobel Prize winners. Their flagship papers, so their pioneering work, are not in top 1 or top 2 journals. Some of them have got Nobel Prizes for their work published in, kind of A journal, not really A-star journals. So that means it is not necessary to publish only in top 1 journal. So you can still get rewarded at some point of time, even if you publish in A category journal, it need not be A-star category journal. And I would like to share some specific do's and some specific don'ts based on my experience. And this is also based on my experience as an author, reviewer, and editor. Can I talk about these 10 do's first?
Please, sir.
Point number 1, follow generalized approach in your research paper. As part of generalized approach, don't highlight your country or state or your context of research in your title or abstract or introduction. Focus on your topic or your theme everywhere in your paper. And do number 2, highlight the originality of your paper. Do number 3, focus on uniqueness and novelty of your paper. It's important. Do number 4, point 4, do plagiarism check. It's important. 20% of submissions received in most of the journals are plagiarized. This is an experience as an editor. Like when I look at submissions, 20% of them are plagiarized. And next one, do's. get it thoroughly English edited and proofread, because sometimes your paper gets rejected for such minor reasons. The cost of that rejection will be too much. Avoid that cost or opportunity cost. And next, do cite recent papers in your article. Editors and reviewers do not have enough time to read all paragraph in your paper, but they can easily look at whether you have recent citations. To the next point, submit to a journal from where you have cited papers. That shows that your paper is relevant to that journal. And next, do these days in empirical papers, robustness check is considered as important. If you have a cross-sectional database research paper, you should do common method bias test. And if you have a time series database research paper, you should do multicollinearity check. Moving on to the next, do make sure that you derive hypotheses based on the findings of prior studies if you have an empirical research paper. Similarly, make sure that you formulate research questions in qualitative papers. If you have a conceptual paper, make sure that you develop generalized propositions in a conceptual paper. I would like to repeat: hypotheses in an empirical paper, research questions in a qualitative paper, propositions in a conceptual paper. The next, do is pay attention to your tables and figures in your paper. Whatever is inside, the content inside the table and figure are the main takeaway from your paper. So double check the content, quality of the content in your tables and figures, because editors and reviewers will have time to look at your tables and figures. They may not have time to read the entire paper to decide the fate of your paper. Also, I would recommend create a table focusing on the findings of prior studies. Suppose you have a literature review section in your research paper, have a table with the pooled findings of prior studies, whether they have similar findings. If they have similar findings, pool those studies together, put it in a table format. Because if you write everything in a descriptive format, it is not easy for reviewers and editors and readers to understand. And my last point is that keep in mind, editors and reviewers are looking for three types of dimension. One is conceptual dimension of your paper, and second is analytical dimension of your paper, and third one is presentation dimension of your paper. And don'ts. I do have some don'ts.
Yes.
Yeah, so can I go ahead with my don'ts?
Please, sir.
Okay. Don'ts are also don'ts. Some of these don'ts I have is based on my experience as a reviewer or as an editor. Because as an editor, even before I have taken over as editor-in-chief of International Journal of Consumer Studies, I was serving as an associate editor of a couple of journals, and I used to handle a lot of manuscripts as an associate editor, and I used to review a lot of papers. And sometimes when you read papers, you learn a lot of things about how people write papers and how people develop papers and cite papers and all those. So based on that, I do have some advice regarding what should not be done in a research paper when you submit a paper to different journals. First one is, don't cite papers from regional, local, national journals when you develop a paper targeting an international journal. This also includes an advice: don't cite too much from websites, newspapers, and periodicals. They are not considered as reliable sources. And next advice is, people are patriotic. A lot of people write and highlight the importance of their country context in their research paper because they are patriotic. and they believe that these papers are read by people from their country. That's a wrong assumption. So suggestion is, don't include your country name or state name in the title at all. And because if you include the country name in the title, and next suggestion is, don't spend too much time thinking about formatting papers for different journals. This is because traditionally, historically, journals used to be strict about formatting, but these days journals are not strict about formatting. So they cannot reject your paper even if you don't format according to the format they have suggested on their website. They might have formatting requirements on their website for accepted papers that is meant for accepted papers, or when you get a revision, you can do that. But for the first submission, you don't need to spend all your time for formatting. Sometimes formatting takes many hours. So if you've already formatted in APA or Harvard or MLA or one of those styles, or so this is considered as okay for the first round of submission in most journals these days. 80% of the journals do consider free format submissions these days, but these are the changes happened last 3 years. But before that, all journals used to be very strict about formatting. And another suggestion is that don't try to do too many things in a paper. Some people write paper, develop paper like sambar, making sambar. I don't know how many of you know sambar. So it's mix of everything. So don't have that kind of sambar approach into such paper. Another suggestion, this is also don't try to submit a paper without theoretical flavor to premier journals. Premier journals, as part of generalized approach, they look for theoretical approach. Ideally, there has to be some contribution relating to the theory. There are several theories. I would also recommend some of those theories. Perhaps you should have some idea about some of those theories, and then try to incorporate or extend or develop your own model. Such kind of papers are likely to get accepted. For example, there are several theories. For example, attribution theory, theory of planned behavior, behavioral theory, cognitive theory, conflict theory, contingency theory, evolutionary theory, technology acceptance model, equity theory, prospect theory, expectancy theory, goal setting theory, lot of theories. There are at least 50 well-established theories, and in addition to that, there are at least 100 theories or theoretical models which are developed during the last 5 or 10 years. So many theories and models developed during the last decade are not very well established because researchers still have the tendency to use the very old theories, the old wine in new bottle, because their professors know only those theories, because they are also not updated about the new theories. So I would also recommend try to use new theories, and in any case, my general suggestion is don't submit papers without theoretical flavor. And another don'ts is don't submit to slow journals. There are different types of journals. For example, I tell you, Elsevier, Springer, Wiley, Taylor and Francis, most of these companies take only 1 or 2 weeks to publish a paper online after acceptance. At the same time, Emerald takes about 2 months. InterScience takes about a year.
Okay.
And InterScience has more than 5,000 journals. They have commercialized it. So they don't have enough staff members to do it. So what is the point of publishing a paper even in a journal that takes 1 year time after acceptance to upload a paper online? So you should know what journals are slow, what journals are fast, and this is with regard to the publishers. In addition to that, some journals, from the date of submission to the date of acceptance, speed varies from journal to journal. That depending upon the editors, because some editors are energetic, some are lethargic. So you would find all types of editors as well. And even currently, I have a submission to another journal which is 5.5 months and no reply. So there are journals like that. So and we have been following up with the general editor, but general editor is slow. So actually last year I conducted a speed rating of journal. So we conducted a survey of speed rating of journals, and we identified journals, those who have fast turnaround time and slow turnaround time as well. Mm-hmm. Some of the journals were, willing to share their data. Some of them didn't share their data. Another suggestion is that they can say, don't use a method which is used 5,000 times in a specific research area by many researchers. Try to have an innovative method in your research if possible. So, for example, multiple regression analysis, simple multiple regression analysis is these days very much outdated, but still people write research papers with multiple regression analysis. So don't use the very old method repeatedly and recycle way in your research paper. Always look for new method if possible.
So thank you so much, sir. I think these do's and don'ts are really helpful. Even I got to know a lot of different things I had no idea about. Some do's and some don'ts. So I think in the future I will also take care of these do's and don'ts in my own paper.